Yeah.
Good morning to you. It's a wonderful Friday, and we love our Fridays around here, Mr. Finn, because we all get a little smarter in the area of money.
We sure do, and it's Faith and Finance. Professor Drew Blazsik joining us now, and we always look forward to your visits, Drew. So how are you? What's going on?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing? Doing pretty good.
Fabulous. Drew, now, am I mistaken, or was there an incident at Adrian College this about a week ago?
What happened?
I thought there was like an active. Okay, I must have dreamed it. I swear I thought I heard a story about something going on at Adrian College with potential violence and that kind of thing.
You're
But I
not
guess
planning anything, are you, Dave?
No, I promise. And I don't need a psych exam either. I must have just had a dream or something. I don't know. Anyway, we go on. I digress. Let's go on to talking about money today.
Yeah, we kind of Alphonsus Liguori. We were talking about usury, how he defined it, and we had the top 10 points from his book for moral theology, and I think we got to the top 5.
Yeah, I was going to say I think we got 5 of them.
So then I was reading a book about the history of capital and usury recently, and Saint Bernardine of Siena came up, which is interesting. And he was a big preacher against usury back in the 1400s, and that's when it became more and more prevalent. And he said, now we brought this up last time with Alphonsus Liguori. We said daemon emergence, which is compensation for actual loss. And what that means, if it costs you something to do something, you must be paid and compensated for it. And then you got perculum sortis, which is compensation for genuine risk. Well, how do you define risk? And that's coming from the Fifth Lateran Council. Well, from him, St. Bernardine of Siena, risk is if you don't pay me back, I need to be compensated for the damage of from the actual loss of you not paying me back. And that's what it refers to. And then he goes in further to talk about lucrum cessans, which is the opportunity cost. And I brought this up last week, and I said that in very slim examples, you can charge interest on that. Well, this was never accepted by the church, according to St. Bernardine of Siena, that we can never charge something for something that was potential rather than actual. I think this is so important because this was quoted in here. During the 1400s, the widespread lending of money at interest created a vicious cycle. Investment opportunities declined because those with capital, which means money, preferred the certainty of interest payments over risk-bearing productive ventures. As a result, fewer resources were available for entrepreneurs willing to invest their capital for an honest return. So what happens when people want to sit back and not work or invest in risk? They call it risk, but it's really productive assets. Industry declines, jobs decline, families don't have enough money to raise a large family, and then you see a decline in the population. And when people with capital want to sit back and want to earn easy money, and that kind of goes into things like even in Bitcoin. If you don't want to invest in productive assets, that's good for society. I mean, these saints go in how a productive economic society is so important to God. Like these saints would talk about it because it's so rooted in the just wage and it's so rooted in family life in order to pay for a family. And anytime that did not happen, you see a decline in the population, which is very interesting.
Yeah, what an impact.
So I don't know if you guys have any input what I just said, but
No.
So here's a couple points. I'm going back to Alphonsus Liguori. He said, money is not a productive asset in itself. I don't remember if we talked about that point last time, but money is a medium of exchange, not a good that naturally generates profit. Charging interest on money alone is like charging rent on something that does not naturally produce anything. Again, this is from Alphonsus Liguori. Point 7, justified gains must come from investment and not lending. So the church does not condemn all profits, only those made without labor, risk, or productive enterprise. And that's coming from the Fifth Lateran Council again. And I love that definition of anything that does not produce that should not be invested.
Me too.
Investing in a business and earning a share of profits is permissible. Lending at interest with no risk or effort is not. Point number 8, Modern banking is usury. If you look at compare his from what he talked about in Today. Many financial systems embedded usury under the guise of risk despite no real exposure to loss. And I would argue that's banks when they lend out with mortgages. Mm-hmm. And then speculative lending is a form of usury. Lending money for speculative purposes without real economic contribution is a form of usury. The encouragement of speculative bubbles through excessive credit expansion undermines our economic stability and jobs. Mm-hmm. And the 10th one is the Catholic social order opposes an interest-based economy. And the quote I have from that is, an economy built on interest-bearing loans fosters inequality, financial instability, and moral corruption. So you could say, do we have that today? Catholic social teaching calls for an economy centered on labor, production, and the just wage. And I always go back to that one Pope back in the 1200s where he said the reason why it's been condemned, usury, is because he feels that all forms of evil will pursue from that if you allow it.
Wow.
For the love of money.
Powerful. Those are strong words.
Well, that's Alphonsus Liguori.
Mm-hmm. Next week, let's tackle this idea, Drew, of are we getting closer to a more idyllic economic system according to church teaching, or are we getting further away based on some of the things happening right now in our government? Sound good?
That sounds good.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, everything is good at Adrian College.
All
my
clear.
dream life,
All clear.
something's wrong with that. But in any case, Lord bless you, brother. Look forward to being back with you next week.